This challenge is proving to be much more difficult than I anticipated. Hi everyone, it's Roberto with Berto's Bird Life here, and today I'm going to try out a birding film challenge. The goal of this challenge here is to film as many birds as possible on this eBird track. I'm at Embudito Canyon, and I've never hiked here before, so I'm really excited. So what I'm going to do is see if I can film all the birds in this eBird track. It's probably not going to happen, especially if I only hear them, but I'm going to try, and let's see how close I can get. As with any good challenge, I decided that my film challenge must come with some rules. Will still not go out of my way to try and complete this challenge at the expense of the birds, which includes but not limited to staying on the trail, making sure I'm not trespassing, sure I'm not filming on their property without permission, doing anything to make the bird act out of the ordinary. For example, I don't like to use sound recordings to attract birds. I've seen other birders who will use them sometimes, which is fine, but personally I don't. That is how I'm going to do this film challenge. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so I'm off to a really bad start because I walked over to go film the sign real quick, and there were a bunch of feeders in the backyard of the home adjacent to the parking lot, and there was 2 curve-billed thrashers, 6 white-crowned sparrows, 2 house finches, and a black-throated sparrow, and cameras everywhere. So I just did not feel comfortable at all filming in someone's home. So I started out 4-0, but I did see a rufous crowned sparrow that I just got some nice footage of. There were a couple of them, so I got one. 4-1 right now. I have detected 11 species so far, but the only 2 I have managed to get some footage of since the rufous crowned sparrow was some brief footage of a canyon towhee and some pretty good footage of a canyon wren, which I detected through its call. It was hanging out up on some rocks and got it from a distance, which is nice, but I'm hearing quite a bit and seeing quite a few species very briefly, and then they disappear into these thickets. So yeah, this is definitely tricky. Despite the rough start, as I trekked on, my luck began to turn around. So I'm doing all right as of now. I've seen detected 14 species, and I've filmed 7 of those species. So 50%, I think that's pretty good considering the start I had. So I've got 2 decisions. I could either take this path directly behind me. The landscape really changes back there. It gets more forested. I could probably rack up some more species. But when I look with my binoculars, I can see there's snow. It's getting a lot colder up there, and I did not bring a jacket. Go me. So I'm going to take this sunnier path right here that leads up to the ridge in the sunlight. It's getting really chilly in the shade, so I could use some sunshine. So I just got some footage of a red-tailed hawk. That makes this the 15th species I've seen on this track, and the 8th bird I have filmed so far. So this is a perfect example that just happened of not wanting to let the filming detract from my birding experience. I totally had more than enough time to film this big flock of bush tits that were going from pine tree to pine tree one by one and I counted 28 birds. Plenty of time for me to get some footage, but I wanted to make sure I got this count first before I even attempted that. Despite missing the bush tits, I managed to close the gap even further with more birds being filmed, including this ladder-backed woodpecker, a few mountain bluebirds seen from quite a distance, and a bonus cottontail rabbit, which I will count as 3. As I began to wrap up my journey, I got a really cool sighting of a cactus wren going in and out of its nest, which confused me because it is winter. After a Google search, I learned that cactus wrens actually roost in their nest year-round and will even use several different nests switching off roosting sites. What a cool find. I then found a house finch I was able to film back in the parking lot, as well as a white-crowned sparrow. Alright, we're back here for the debrief. So, out of 20 species, I filmed 13 of them. Of those 13, so I filmed the rufous crowned sparrow, I got the canyon towhee, the canyon wren, bunch of dark-eyed juncos, got a common raven. There was at least a couple of them up there. I kept seeing a pair throughout the whole track, so there probably was more. Got a very narrow window through this bush at a spotted towhee. That was lucky. There were a lot of spotted towhees though, so I'm sure I would have had more opportunities. There were a lot of Woodhouse's scrub jays, got that one. Got the red-tailed hawk. Saw these mountain bluebirds. I didn't realize they were mountain bluebirds at the time I filmed them, but I suspected there was something different, so I went for it. And sure enough, they turned out to be mountain bluebirds. So that was a cool find. I haven't seen those in New Mexico yet, so that's a New Mexico lifer. I ended up getting the white-crowned sparrow back at the parking lot. Probably one of the same ones from the feeder earlier, but you never know. And then I did end up getting the house finch filmed as well. Probably one of those same 2 from the feeder this morning as well. I also got a ladder-backed woodpecker and a cactus wren. So that's 13 species. Also, as much as I would like to count our little rabbit friend as 3, I will actually not be doing that. Now going over the ones I did not get to film. I missed out on the northern flicker, the 28 bush tits that I talked about earlier, the Buick's wren, those 2 curve-billed thrashers from the feeders. I never saw those again. Unfortunately, there was a flyover of 11 western bluebirds, and I tried to get the camera on them, but they were just so high up. No matter how hard I tried, the camera was just not seeing them in the sky, but that's all right. There were those 2 Townsend solitaires. Tried really hard for those, but I just could not find them, even though I'm sure they were just hiding in plain sight. And then the black-throated sparrow from the feeder this morning, I never saw that again either. So 13 out of 20, I think that's pretty good. Comes to show you're not gonna see everything. I didn't even see every single bird I saw out there. Never saw those solitaires. I only heard them. Barely even saw the western bluebirds, but that is birding for you. So at the end of the day, I'm happy regardless. I got to be out in nature, do what I love most. So thanks for watching Berto's Bird Life. If you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you all.